The alarm screamed through the Galactic Council monitoring station in Sector 7 Delta. Quill, a thin, blue-skinned Zephyrion, nearly dropped his coffee as he stared at the impossible readings on his screen. His four eyes blinked rapidly as he checked. The sensors again? The signature was unmistakable, but it could not be real. A human warship had just dropped out of hyperspace. Quill's hands shook as he reached for the emergency communication device. Humans had been extinct for 300 years. Everyone in the galaxy knew that. The Great Purge had wiped them out completely. Yet here on his screen was a ship that matched all the old human design patterns from the historical databases. The ship was massive, nearly 2 kilometers long, with the distinctive angular design that humans had favored. Its hull was dark gray with scorch marks that told stories of countless battles. The name painted on its side read UES Defiant in bold white letters. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiant, looking out at the stars through the main view screen. His brown hair was starting to show gray at the temples, and his green eyes held the weight of someone who had seen too much. At 45 years old, he commanded the last known group of humans in the galaxy. "Captain, we're receiving multiple hails from alien vessels," reported Lieutenant Sam Parker from the communications station. The young officer's voice was steady despite the tension on the bridge. "They all want to know what we're doing here." Morrison nodded. He had expected this reaction. The 47 people aboard the Defiant were supposed to be dead according to galactic history. Their sudden appearance in this remote sector would cause panic among the alien species who thought they were safe from humanity. Any hostile actions yet? Morrison asked his tactical officer, Commander Ryan Brooks. Brooks was a solid man in his 30s with short black hair and sharp blue eyes. He had been Morrison's right hand for over 10 years. "Not yet, sir. But I'm detecting at least 6 different alien vessels on long-range sensors. They're keeping their distance for now, but their weapons are powered up," Brooks replied while studying his tactical display. Dr. Lisa Grant looked up from her science station. She was a petite woman with long blonde hair tied back in a practical ponytail. Her gray eyes sparkled with excitement as she reviewed her readings. "Captain, the ruins are exactly where the ancient signals indicated they would be. The energy signatures are off the charts." Morrison walked over to Grant's station. The scientists had been tracking these mysterious signals for months. They had led the Defiant across half the galaxy to reach this supposedly empty sector of space. If Grant was right, the ruins on the planet below might hold answers about humanity's forgotten past. "How long do we have before those alien ships decide to do something about us?" Morrison asked Brooks. "Hard to say, sir. The closest vessel is a Corvin patrol ship about 2 million kilometers away. The others are hanging back, probably waiting for orders from their governments." Brooks paused to check his readings again. "I'd estimate we have maybe 6 hours before they get organized enough to cause us real problems." Morrison made his decision. "Grant, take a team down to the planet. I want to know what's in those ruins. Brooks, maintain red alert, but don't make any aggressive moves. Parker, send a message to all the alien vessels. Tell them we're here on a scientific mission and we mean no harm to any peaceful species." "Yes, sir," Parker replied, his fingers dancing across the communication controls. On the monitoring station, Quill was frantically trying to reach his superiors. The emergency communication system was overloaded as reports of the human ship spread across the galaxy. Every major government wanted to know if the report was true. "This is Monitor Station 7 Delta calling Galactic Council Emergency Center." Quill spoke into his headset. "I need to report a Code 7 situation. We have confirmed visual contact with a human warship in our sector." The response came back immediately. "Station 7 Delta, please confirm your report. Are you saying you have detected a human vessel?" "Confirmed, Control. The ship identifies itself as the UES Defiant. It's approximately 2 kilometers in length and matches all known human design patterns from our historical databases." Quill's voice cracked slightly as he spoke. "Stand by, Station 7 Delta. We're sending additional monitoring equipment to your sector. Do not engage the human vessel. Observe and report only. Meanwhile, the news was spreading like wildfire through the Galactic Communication Network. On the Corvan homeworld, General Thax, a massive reptilian creature with red scales and yellow eyes, received the report with growing anger. The Corvans had been one of the primary forces behind the Great Purge centuries ago. Impossible, Thax hissed, his forked tongue flicking out as he spoke. We made sure every human world was destroyed. Every ship was hunted down and eliminated. How can there be survivors? His aide, a smaller Corvan named Vex, checked the reports carefully. The evidence appears solid, General. Multiple independent sources have confirmed the sighting. The ship's configuration matches historical records perfectly. Thax's clawed hands gripped his command chair. Then we failed. We left some of them alive, and now they've returned. He stood up, his massive frame casting a shadow over the command center. Send word to the fleet. All available ships are to proceed to Sector 7 Delta immediately. We will finish what we started 3 centuries ago. Back on the Defiant, Dr. Grant was preparing for the mission to the planet's surface. She gathered her equipment carefully, knowing that whatever they found down there might be the key to understanding humanity's place in the galaxy. The ancient signals had been calling to them for so long, and now they were finally close enough to answer. Are you ready for this, Doc? Asked Sergeant Ben Clark, the team's Marine escort. Clark was a tough-looking man with brown hair and a permanent scowl, but Grant knew he was completely reliable in dangerous situations. As ready as anyone can be for uncovering secrets that have been hidden for millions of years, Grant replied with a nervous smile. The shuttle bay doors opened, and the small craft carrying the away team launched toward the planet below. Morrison watched from the bridge as the shuttle disappeared into the planet's atmosphere. The ruins were located on the largest continent in what appeared to be a vast desert. Captain, I'm picking up more ships entering the sector, Brooks reported. Long-range sensors show at least 12 vessels now, with more arriving every hour. Morrison nodded grimly. Word was spreading fast, and not all of the alien species would be friendly. Some would be curious, others would be fearful, but many would be hostile. The history between humans and the rest of the galaxy was complicated and bloody. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface, Parker announced. Dr. Grant's team has reached the ruins. Put it through, Morrison ordered. Grant's voice crackled through the communication system. Captain, you're not going to believe what we're seeing down here. These structures are massive, and they're definitely artificial. The technology readings are unlike anything in our databases. Any signs of danger? Morrison asked. None so far, sir. But there's something else. The ruins appear to be responding to our presence. Some of the structures are beginning to glow with a soft blue light. Morrison felt a chill run down his spine. If the ruins were reacting to humans specifically, it suggested a connection that went back much further than anyone had imagined. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's story was far from over. The Defiant continued its orbit around the planet, a lone human ship surrounded by growing numbers of alien vessels. The next few hours would determine whether humanity would once again find its place among the stars, or whether the last survivors would finally be eliminated once and for all. The shuttle landed on the desert planet with a soft thud, sending up clouds of red dust that had not been disturbed for centuries. Dr. Lisa Grant stepped out first, her scientific equipment in hand, followed by Captain Jake Morrison and Sergeant Ben Clark. The 3 humans stood in silence for a moment, staring at the massive structures that rose from the desert floor like ancient monuments. The ruins were unlike anything they had seen before. Smooth black walls stretched up toward the sky, reaching heights of nearly a kilometer. Strange symbols covered the surfaces, glowing with a soft blue light that pulsed like a heartbeat. The air around the structures seemed to vibrate with energy. My readings are going crazy, Grant said, checking her scanner. The energy output from these ruins is enormous. It's like they're powered by some kind of reactor, but I can't detect any traditional power source. Morrison walked closer to the nearest wall, studying the glowing symbols. Can you read any of this writing? Not yet, but my computer is analyzing the patterns. There's something familiar about the mathematical structures underlying the symbols. It's almost like they're based on principles that humans would understand. Grant frowned as she worked. That shouldn't be possible. These ruins predate human civilization by millions of years. Clark kept his weapon ready as he scanned the area for threats. This place gives me the creeps. It's too quiet, and those lights keep getting brighter every minute we're here. As if responding to his words, a section of the wall began to glow more intensely. The symbols shifted and moved, forming new patterns that seemed to beckon the humans forward. A doorway appeared where none had existed before, revealing a passage that led deep into the structure. Well, that's not ominous at all, Clark muttered. Morrison made the decision. We came here for answers. Let's see what's inside. The passage was wide enough for 3 people to walk side by side. The walls continued to glow with that strange blue light, providing enough illumination to see clearly. As they walked deeper into the structure, Grant's equipment detected more and more energy signatures. Captain, whatever technology is running, this place, it's more advanced than anything in our databases. The power efficiency alone is impossible by current galactic standards. Grant's voice echoed slightly in the corridor. They walked for what felt like hours, though Grant's chronometer showed only 20 minutes had passed. The passage led steadily downward, taking them deep beneath the planet's surface. Finally, they emerged into a vast chamber that took their breath away. The room was enormous, with a domed ceiling that disappeared into darkness above them. Along the walls were thousands of crystal formations, each one glowing with stored information. In the center of the chamber stood a pedestal with what appeared to be a control interface. It's a library, Grant whispered in awe. Or maybe an archive. Look at all those data crystals. Morrison approached the central pedestal carefully. As he got closer, the interface began to glow brighter, and symbols appeared on its surface. It's reacting to me. Should I try to activate it? Wait, Grant said, pulling out her scanner. Let me check for any dangerous energy signatures first. She ran her equipment over the pedestal and the surrounding area. It appears safe, but there's something strange. The interface seems to be designed for human hands and human neural patterns. That's impossible, Morrison said. These ruins are ancient. They were here long before humans ever left Earth. Grant looked at him seriously. Maybe that's not true. Maybe humans have been in space much longer than we thought. Morrison reached out and placed his hand on the interface. The moment his skin made contact, the entire chamber exploded with light and sound. Information flowed through his mind like a river, showing him images and data that made his head spin. He saw star maps of the galaxy, but not as it existed today. This was the galaxy as it had been millions of years ago, when different species ruled among the stars. He saw great ships that were clearly of human design, traveling between worlds that were marked with human settlements. Captain, are you all right? Clark asked, reaching for Morrison's shoulder. Don't touch him, Grant warned. He's interfacing with the system. Look at the data crystals. All around the chamber, the crystals were lighting up in sequence, displaying information that had been stored for countless ages. Grant's scanner was recording everything, but even she could barely keep up with the flow of data. Morrison saw the truth about humanity's origins. They had not evolved on Earth as everyone believed. Humans were an ancient spacefaring race that had spread across the galaxy millions of years ago, seeding worlds with their colonies and building vast networks of technology. But something had gone wrong. The images showed great wars, conflicts between humans and other species who feared human expansion. Time and again, coalitions of alien races had banded together to drive humans from their worlds, to destroy their fleets, to eliminate their presence from the galaxy. Each time, some humans had escaped, had hidden, had waited for the right moment to return. The cycle had repeated itself over and over throughout galactic history. Earth had been just one of many refuge worlds where humans had gone to hide and rebuild. The Great Purge, Morrison said out loud, his voice sounding strange and distant. It wasn't the first time. It's happened before many times. The interface. showed him more. Hidden across the galaxy were dozens of human colonies, sleeping installations, and reserve fleets. All of them had been waiting for a signal, for someone to find the archives and activate the awakening protocols. Grant's scanner beeped frantically. "Captain, whatever you're doing, it's sending signals across the galaxy. Powerful transmissions are going out to hundreds of different locations." Morrison saw the locations in his mind. Secret bases hidden in asteroid fields, underground cities on forgotten worlds, fleets of ships buried beneath the surfaces of dead moons. All of them were receiving the activation signal right now. Back in space, Commander Ryan Brooks was monitoring the situation from the bridge of the Defiant. His tactical display showed an alarming development. "Lieutenant Parker, I'm detecting multiple alien fleets converging on our position. The Corvan Empire has dispatched at least 50 warships. The hegemony of Scales is sending 30 more." Parker checked his communications board. "Sir, we're receiving angry demands from over a dozen different alien governments. They want us to surrender immediately or face destruction. How long until the first hostile fleet arrives?" Brooks asked. "The Corvan ships will be here in approximately 4 hours. The others are about 6 hours out." Parker paused. "Sir, there's something else. I'm detecting strange energy signatures from the planet's surface. It looks like the ruins are transmitting something." Brooks opened a channel to the away team. "Captain Morrison, we have a problem up here. Multiple hostile fleets are heading our way, and the ruins appear to be broadcasting some kind of signal." Morrison's voice came back, but it sounded different, filled with knowledge and purpose. "I understand, Commander. The signal is an awakening call. We're about to learn that humanity never really died." In the archive chamber, Morrison was still connected to the interface, absorbing thousands of years of hidden history. He learned about the Nexus, a massive control center that coordinated all human technology across the galaxy. He saw the locations of weapon caches, shield generators, and defense platforms that had been waiting in hibernation for centuries. Most importantly, he learned about the true reason why other species feared humans. It wasn't just their technology or their military might. Humans possessed a unique genetic marker that allowed them to interface with the most advanced ancient technologies in the galaxy. They were the inheritors of a legacy that stretched back to the very beginning of galactic civilization. "Dr. Grant," Morrison said, finally pulling his hand away from the interface. "We need to return to the ship immediately. The galaxy is about to change forever." Grant finished downloading the data from her scanner. "I've got everything recorded, but, Captain, some of this information is incredible. According to these files, there are human installations throughout the galaxy that have been waiting for activation." Clark was already moving toward the exit. "Then we better get back to the ship before those alien fleets arrive. Something tells me they're not going to be happy about humanity's return." As they made their way back through the passage, the ruins continued to glow and pulse with energy. The awakening signal was spreading across the galaxy, reaching installations that had been silent for centuries. On distant worlds, buried ships began to power up. Hidden bases started their activation sequences. The descendants of humanity's greatest survivors began to emerge from the shadows. The galaxy was about to learn that reports of humanity's extinction had been greatly exaggerated. The question now was whether the other species would accept humanity's return, or whether the ancient cycle of persecution would begin once again. Morrison and his team reached their shuttle just as the first alien response fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. The real test was about to begin. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened within hours of the first reports. Representatives from across the galaxy gathered in the massive chamber on the neutral world of Harmony Station. The air was thick with tension and the smell of fear from dozens of different species. General Thax of the Corvan Empire stood at the center of the debate floor, his massive, red-scaled form towering over most of the other representatives. His yellow eyes burned with anger as he addressed the assembly. 300 years ago, We made a decision that saved the galaxy from human expansion, Thax declared, his voice echoing through the chamber. We eliminated the human threat completely. Now we learn that our efforts were incomplete. Some of them survived, and they have returned. Ambassador Sung of the Etherian Republic rose from her seat. The Etherians were a peaceful species that resembled tall, graceful humans with pale blue skin and large silver eyes. General Thax, you speak of elimination as if it were pest control. The humans we detected have made no aggressive moves. They claim to be on a scientific mission? Scientific mission? Thax laughed, a harsh sound that made several smaller species flinch. They are studying ancient ruins that have been forbidden for good reason. Those structures contain technologies that could upset the balance of power in the galaxy. Counselor Vex of the Aquatic Alliance spoke next, his gills fluttering with emotion. The historical records show that humans were dangerous because of their rapid expansion and their ability to adapt to any environment. If they have been hiding for 3 centuries, they have had time to grow stronger. Or they have learned to be peaceful, Ambassador Sung countered. Perhaps the tragedies of the past have taught them the value of cooperation instead of conquest. The debate continued for hours, with species taking sides based on their own fears and prejudices. The Corvan Empire led the hardline faction, demanding immediate military action. The Etherians and several other peaceful species called for diplomacy and caution. Meanwhile, in Sector 7 Delta, the UES Defiant was surrounded by an ever-growing fleet of alien warships. Commander Ryan Brooks studied his tactical display with growing concern. The enemy force now numbered over 100 vessels from a dozen different species. Captain Morrison has returned to the ship, reported Lieutenant Sam Parker from the communications station. The shuttle is docking now. Brooks nodded. Good. We're going to need all hands for what's coming. Any word from the alien fleets? They're maintaining position but not approaching. It's like they're waiting for orders, Parker replied. But their weapons are definitely charged and ready. Captain Morrison entered the bridge, followed by Dr. Grant and Sergeant Clark. Morrison's face was grim but determined. The knowledge he had gained from the archive had changed his understanding of everything. Status report, Morrison ordered as he took his command chair. We're surrounded by hostile forces, but they haven't attacked yet, Brooks reported. I think they're waiting for the politicians to make a decision, Morrison nodded. They're debating whether to repeat history or try something new, Dr. Grant. What's the status of the data from the ruins? Grant was already at her science station, reviewing the information they had gathered. Captain, the archive contained star maps showing the locations of dozens of hidden human installations. The activation signal we triggered is being received by these locations across the galaxy. How many installations are we talking about? Morrison asked. At least 40 that I can identify from the data. Underground cities, hidden shipyards, defensive platforms, and reserve fleets. If even half of them are still operational, we're not as alone as we thought. Chief Engineer Amy Rodriguez looked up from her engineering console. Captain, I'm detecting some strange changes in our ship's systems. Ever since we visited those ruins, our efficiency ratings have improved across the board. Our weapons are running at 120% of normal capacity, and our shields are stronger than they should be. Morrison was not surprised. The archive had shown him that human technology was designed to interface with the ancient systems scattered throughout the galaxy. The ruins are enhancing our capabilities. We're becoming what we were meant to be. On the bridge of the Kovan flagship, General Thax received a report from his intelligence officer. General, our long-range sensors are detecting unusual activity in 17 different sectors. It appears that the human signal has activated something across the galaxy. Thax's clawed hands gripped his command chair. What kind of activity? Power. Signatures that match no known technology. Several of our monitoring stations have lost contact with their assigned sectors. Something is waking up out there. The General's worst fears were being confirmed. The humans had not just survived. They had been preparing for their return. Send word to the Galactic Council. Tell them that if they do not authorize immediate action, the human contamination will spread beyond our ability to contain it. Back at the Galactic Council, the debate was reaching a critical point. Ambassador Soong was making a passionate plea for peaceful contact when an urgent message arrived from the Corvan Intelligence Service. Honorable representatives, the message began. We have confirmed that the human signal has activated installations across the galaxy. We are facing not just one surviving ship, but a coordinated awakening of human technology on a massive scale. The chamber erupted in chaos. Species that had been calling for caution suddenly began to reconsider their positions. The idea of dozens of human installations coming online simultaneously was terrifying to races that remembered the stories of human expansion. This changes everything, declared Counselor Vex. If the humans have been building their strength in secret for 3 centuries, they could pose a threat to all of our civilizations. Ambassador Soong tried to maintain order. We still have no evidence that the humans intend any harm. Perhaps these installations are merely defensive in nature. Defensive? Thax roared. Humans do not build defensive installations. They build launching points for conquest. Every species in this chamber knows the stories of human expansion. They do not stop until they control everything. The vote was called. By a narrow margin, the Galactic Council authorized military action against the human ship in Sector 7 Delta. The order was simple: demand surrender, and if refused, destroy the vessel before it could spread its contamination further on the Defiant. Morrison received the Council's ultimatum through official channels. The message was clear and direct: surrender within 1 hour or face destruction. Well, that's about what I expected, Morrison said calmly. Any response from the installations Dr. Grant identified? Grant checked her long-range sensors. I'm detecting 3 installations that have acknowledged our signal. One is in the outer rim, another is in the neutral zone, and the third is surprisingly close to Corvan space. How close? Morrison asked. About 6 light-years from their capital system. The energy signature suggests it's a major installation, possibly a shipyard or military base. Morrison smiled grimly. That would explain why General Thax is so eager to attack us. He's probably getting reports of human activity in his own backyard. Brooks studied his tactical display. Captain, even with our enhanced systems, we can't fight over 100 enemy ships. We need a different strategy. We're not going to fight them all at once, Morrison replied. We're going to show them that the galaxy has changed. Dr. Grant, can you broadcast the historical data from the archive on all frequencies? Yes, sir, but what good will that do? The galaxy is about to learn the truth about human history. Not the version they've been told, but the real story. Let them see that we've been through this cycle before, and that it never ends the way they think it will. Grant began the broadcast, sending the archive data across all communication channels. The historical record showed the true story of human civilization, not as conquerors, but as explorers who had been repeatedly persecuted and driven to the edges of the galaxy. The data revealed that humans had actually helped develop many of the technologies that other species now took for granted. They had been peaceful traders and scientists before fear and jealousy had turned the galaxy against them. Some species began to question their leaders' decisions as the truth spread. The Etherians and other peaceful races called for an immediate halt to military action. But the hardliners, led by the Corvan Empire, pressed forward with their attack. The hour was almost up. Morrison gave his final order: all hands prepare for battle. We're about to find out if 3 centuries of preparation was enough. The alien fleets began to move, closing in on the lone human ship. But across the galaxy, other signals were being sent. The awakening had begun, and humanity was no longer alone in the darkness. The first shots came from the Corvan fleet. Bright red energy beams lanced through space toward the UES Defiant as General Thax ordered the attack. Captain Morrison watched the incoming fire on his viewscreen with calm determination. Evasive maneuvers, Morrison commanded. Take us into the ruins' gravity field. Commander Brooks piloted the ship with skill that surprised even himself. The Defiant moved faster and more smoothly than it ever had before. The alien energy weapons passed harmlessly by as the human ship danced between the attacking vessels. "Return fire," Morrison ordered. "Target the lead Corvan cruiser." The Defiant's weapons had been enhanced by the ancient technology from the ruins. When they fired, the blue energy beams cut through the Corvan ship's shields like they were made of paper. The alien cruiser exploded in a brilliant flash that lit up the darkness of space. "Impossible," General Thax hissed from his command ship. "Our intelligence report said human weapons were inferior to ours." His tactical officer checked the readings twice before reporting. "General, their weapons are operating at efficiency levels we have never seen before. Their shields are also much stronger than our estimates." The alien fleet tried to surround the Defiant, but Morrison used the planet's gravity and the energy fields from the ruins to his advantage. He led the enemy ships through areas where the ancient technology interfered with their sensors and weapons. "Dr. Grant, are you getting readings on how the ruins are helping us?" Morrison asked as another wave of alien ships moved in. Grant was amazed by what her instruments showed. "Captain, the ruins are creating gravitational anomalies that we can use as weapons. They're also boosting our ship's power systems and providing tactical data directly to our computers." Chief Engineer Rodriguez was equally astonished by what she was seeing. "Sir, our fusion reactors are running at 200% efficiency. The power grid is handling loads that should have burned out our systems hours ago. It's like the ship is becoming something more than what we built." The battle continued for hours. The alien fleet had superior numbers, but the Defiant had superior technology and the tactical advantage of fighting near the ruins. Morrison used guerrilla tactics, striking quickly and then disappearing into the planet's energy fields before the enemy could respond effectively. Sergeant Clark manned one of the secondary weapon stations, his military training serving him well in the space battle. "Captain, I count 15 enemy ships destroyed and at least 20 more damaged. Our hull is still at full integrity." "The alien commanders are getting frustrated," Brooks reported from the tactical station. "They're starting to make mistakes, breaking formation and attacking individually instead of coordinating their assault." Morrison nodded. This was exactly what he had hoped for. Human adaptability versus alien predictability. "We're showing them that we've learned from 3 centuries of hiding." On the Corvan flagship, General Thax was furious. His fleet was being embarrassed by a single human ship. Worse, reports were coming in from across the galaxy about other human installations becoming active. "General, we just lost contact with our monitoring station in Sector 12, his communications officer reported. The last message mentioned detecting a large energy signature before the transmission cut out. "How many sectors have reported unusual activity?" Thax demanded. 17 so far, sir." "Whatever the humans activated, it's affecting installations throughout the galaxy." Meanwhile, Dr. Grant was making new discoveries about the ancient technology. "Captain, I'm receiving signals from other human installations. The network is coming online across the galaxy. Some of these installations are massive. Any word on reinforcements?" Morrison asked hopefully. 3 installations have confirmed. They can provide assistance. The closest one is about 2 hours away at maximum hyperspace speed." Grant paused as new data came through. "Captain, one of the installations is reporting that it has a full fleet of ships." Morrison felt a surge of hope. "How many ships?" "At least 50 vessels, possibly more. They've been in hibernation for over 2 centuries, but they're powering up now." The tide of the battle began to shift as the alien commanders realized they were not just fighting one ship, but potentially an entire hidden civilization. Some of the smaller alien vessels began to retreat, their captains unwilling to continue. A fight that was clearly not going as planned, but General Thax refused to give up. "All ships, focus fire on the human vessel. Use everything we have? We cannot allow them to escape and spread their contamination." The coordinated attack came from all sides. Over 80 alien ships fired at once, their combined energy output enough to destroy a small moon, but the Defiant was ready. "All power to shields," Morrison commanded. Rodriguez, channel the ruins' energy directly into our defensive systems. The chief engineer's hands flew over her controls. Connecting to the ancient power grid now, sir. The energy from the ruins flowed through the Defiant systems like liquid lightning. The ship's shields flared with blue-white energy that was brighter than a star. The alien weapons fire struck the enhanced shields and was absorbed completely. "Their shields are holding," reported the Corvin tactical officer in disbelief. "Our combined firepower should have destroyed them 10 times. Over. General Thax stared at the view screen where the human ship continued to move freely through the battlefield. What kind of technology are they using? His science officer had been analyzing the energy readings throughout the battle. General, the power signatures match theoretical models for technology that is millions of years more advanced than anything in our databases. The humans appear to have access to ancient systems that predate all known civilizations. The truth was beginning to dawn on the alien commanders. They were not fighting a simple warship with outdated technology. They were fighting a vessel that was connected to the most advanced technology in galactic history. Dr. Grant's excitement was growing as more data came through. From the awakening installations? "Captain, I'm receiving a priority signal from something. Called the Nexus. It appears to be a central command facility for all human technology in the galaxy." "Can you establish communication?" Morrison asked. "Trying now, sir." Grant worked frantically at her console. "I'm getting a response. The Nexus is fully operational and has been monitoring galactic affairs for the past 3 centuries. A new voice came through the communication system. It was clearly human, but with an authority that suggested great age and wisdom. "UAS Defiant. This is Nexus Command. We have been waiting for this moment for a very long time." Morrison felt a chill of recognition. "Nexus Command, this is Captain Morrison. We could use some assistance." "Assistance is on the way, Captain. 3 hidden fleets are moving to your position. We estimate arrival in 90 minutes. Can you hold your position until then?" Morrison looked at his crew, seeing determination in every face. "We'll hold the line. Understood. Be advised that we are also activating defensive systems throughout the galaxy. The cycle of persecution ends today." General Thax received reports of new energy signatures appearing throughout Corvin space. Ancient installations that had been hidden for centuries were coming online, their weapon systems targeting Corvin military bases and fleet positions. "General, we have a choice," his aide reported grimly. "We can continue this attack and face retaliation from human installations throughout our territory, or we can withdraw and attempt to negotiate." Thax's pride warred with his survival instincts. The human ship had proven impossible to destroy, and now they faced the possibility of a galactic war against an enemy that had been preparing for 3 centuries. But before he could make his decision, new ships began dropping out of hyperspace. At the edge of the system, they were clearly of human design, sleek and powerful vessels that had been hidden away since the last great persecution. The first reinforcements had arrived, and the balance of power in the galaxy was about to change forever. The space around the planet suddenly filled with new ships as human reinforcements arrived from their hidden bases. But these were not the vessels that General Thax expected. The ships were massive, sleek, and clearly built with technology far beyond anything the galaxy had seen before. Leading the fleet was a dreadnought that dwarfed even the largest Corvin battleships. Its hull was a deep black that seemed to absorb light, and energy patterns flowed across its surface like living circuits. The ship emerged from hyperspace with impossible grace for something so large. Captain Morrison stared at the view screen in amazement. "Dr. Grant, are you getting readings on that ship?" Grant's instruments were struggling to analyze the massive vessel. "Captain, that dreadnought is over 5 kilometers long. Its power output is off my measurement scales. I've never seen anything like it." A communication signal came through from the giant ship. "UES Defiant, this is Captain Elena Cross of the UES Retribution. Sorry, we're late to the party." Morrison felt relief wash over him. "Captain Cross, your timing is perfect. We were beginning to think we'd have to fight the entire galaxy alone." You were never alone, Morrison. We've been watching and waiting for the right moment to return. The Nexus has been coordinating our efforts for centuries. Cross's voice carried the weight of someone who had seen much and sacrificed more. How long have you been in hiding? 3 centuries in stasis, waiting for the activation signal. My crew and I volunteered to remain ready while the rest of our people rebuilt in secret. Cross paused. The galaxy is about to learn that reports of humanity's death were greatly exaggerated. General Fax watched his tactical display with growing horror. The human reinforcements numbered over 60 ships, and each one was more advanced than anything in the Corvan fleet. Worse, reports continued to stream in from across Corvan space about human installations coming online. General, our home fleet is reporting that ancient defense platforms have activated throughout our territory. His communications officer reported with barely controlled panic. They're not attacking, but they're targeting our major military installations. Thax realized that his empire was suddenly vulnerable in ways he had never imagined. How many platforms? At least 40 that we can identify. They appeared from nowhere, as if they were hidden in plain sight for centuries. On the bridge of the Retribution, Captain Cross was coordinating with human installations across the galaxy. All stations, this is Cross. Begin Phase 2 of the Restoration Protocol. Show them our strength, but do not fire unless fired upon. Across the galaxy, human technology that had been dormant for centuries began to reveal itself. Defense platforms uncloaked near major alien worlds. Hidden shipyards started producing new vessels. Underground cities sent their first communications. In 300 years, the Etherean Republic was the first to respond positively to the human emergence. Ambassador Soong sent a message directly to both human ships. Captains Morrison and Cross, the Etherean Republic welcomes humanity's return to the galactic community. We request immediate diplomatic contact. Other peaceful species quickly followed. The Aquatic Alliance, the Crystal Confederation, and several smaller governments expressed interest in establishing relations with returning humans, but the militant species were not ready to accept the new reality. General Fax gathered his remaining fleet and prepared for a final assault. All ships, attack formation. We will destroy these human vessels and end this threat once and for all. The Corvan fleet moved forward, but they were no longer facing just the Defiant. The human reinforcements spread out in a defensive formation that demonstrated centuries of tactical evolution. Their movements were coordinated with a precision that spoke of advanced communication systems in shared battle. Experience. General, I strongly advise against this attack, Thax's science officer warned. Their technology is clearly superior to ours. We could lose the entire fleet. But Thax's pride would not allow him to retreat. Fire all weapons. Show the galaxy that the Corvan Empire does not bow to anyone. The battle that followed was brief and decisive. The human ships moved like dancers, their weapons cutting through Corvan shields with frightening ease. But they did not seek to destroy every enemy vessel. Instead, they disabled ship after ship, leaving the crews alive but helpless. Captain Cross demonstrated the difference between human technology and everything else in the galaxy. The Retribution single-handedly disabled 12 Corvan cruisers without taking any damage. Her weapons were precise enough to target specific systems while leaving the rest of the ship intact. General Fax, this is Captain Cross, came the transmission to the Corvan flagship. Your weapons cannot penetrate our shields, and we can disable your entire fleet without killing anyone. I suggest you consider surrender. Fax looked around his bridge at officers who were clearly terrified. His tactical display showed that over half his fleet was already disabled. The human ships had not even used their full power. What do you want from us? Fax asked, his pride finally breaking. We want peace, Morrison answered from the Defiant. We want to take our place in the galaxy as equals, not conquerors. But we will defend ourselves against anyone who tries to repeat the mistakes of the past. The battle ended with the Corvan fleet's surrender. Word spread quickly through the galactic communication networks. Humanity had returned, and they possessed technology that made them the most powerful force in the galaxy. The Galactic Council called an emergency session within hours. This time the debate was very different. The evidence was clear that humanity could not be eliminated by force. The question now was how to integrate them back into galactic civilization. Ambassador Soong of the Etherian Republic stood before the assembly with a proposal. Honored representatives, we have a choice. We can continue the ancient cycle of fear and persecution, or we can embrace this opportunity to learn from a species that has clearly advanced far beyond the rest of us. Captain Morrison was invited to address the council via communication link. He stood on the bridge of the Defiant with Captain Cross beside him as representatives from across the galaxy listened to his words. For 300 years, my people have lived in hiding, Morrison began. We have watched the galaxy from the shadows, hoping that one day we could return in peace. We do not seek to rule or conquer. We seek only to share our knowledge and to learn from others. What guarantee do we have that humans will not seek revenge for the Great Purge? Asked Counselor Vex of the Aquatic Alliance. Captain Cross stepped forward to answer. Because revenge would make us no better than those who persecuted us. We have spent centuries preparing not for war but for peace. Our technology can benefit everyone if we work together. The vote was closer than expected, but the Galactic Council agreed to recognize humanity's right to exist and to establish diplomatic relations. The Human Restoration Initiative was created to help integrate human colonies back into galactic society. Dr. Grant was appointed as the first human ambassador to the Galactic Council. Her scientific background and her role in discovering the ancient archives made her the perfect choice to represent humanity's peaceful intentions. 6 months later, the galaxy was a very different place. Human technology was being shared with peaceful species, leading to advances in medicine, energy production, and space travel. The hidden human colonies were emerging from their secret locations and establishing trade relationships with their neighbors. Captain Morrison found himself commanding not just the Defiant, but an entire fleet of ships dedicated to exploration and diplomacy. The galaxy was vast, and there were still mysteries to uncover, ruins to explore, and new species to meet. The ancient cycle of persecution had been broken. Humanity had returned to the stars not as conquerors but as partners in building a better future for all species. The question, why is a human warship here, had been answered with a simple truth, because this was where they belonged. As Morrison stood on his bridge, looking out at the stars that humanity would once again call home, he reflected on the long journey that had brought them to this moment. 3 centuries of hiding and preparation had led to this new dawn. The galaxy was ready for humanity's return, and humanity was ready to help build a future where diversity and cooperation would triumph over fear and hatred. The stars belonged to everyone now.